So today we're going to look at a Karcher HD pressure washer. So this is a 6.2 horsepower, 4.2 gallon per minute, 2000 psi machine. That's what it looks like on the outside. And so this is actually a pretty industrial electric kind of device. It's quite well made. I haven't really seen any walkthrough videos of these, so I wanted to go over it. So here's the pump that comes in it. So you can see the pump is rated at way more than the machine is. I think that you need 11 or 12 horsepower to turn that pump at full power. And this is a 6.2. So the benefit of this power washer is that it's a belt drive. And so there is a belt tensioner assembly here, and the foot for the pump can move back and forth, so you can adjust that. This thing is very heavy. It's 285 pounds because of it's all steel. It's pretty ridiculous. So the motor here, if you trip it out on overload, you'll have to come inside and push the button. And realistically, the cover is just here to protect the operator from the belt. You will need to get into this from time to time, so keep that in mind wherever you're going to mount it. Like I've got it in my crawl space underneath of the kitchen for a couple reasons. One, it's above freezing year round. I had easy access to a 240 30 amp circuit. So you can see that it's like two sideways poles and then the ground. I do have a 3 conductor number 10, so the neutral is just wrapped up inside here. So it's actually an old dryer circuit that I was able to relocate. So it's convenient. I've got access to the outside. And like I said, the thing is heavy, and because it's like it has water in it, you need to keep it somewhere where it's going to be safe. If I put this in the garage, I'd have to be concerned about leaving the garage open during the winter and freezing it out. I wouldn't want to destroy it. These things are definitely expensive. The gas models are certainly cheaper with better performance per se, but I think in the long run this is the way I wanted to go. I didn't want to have another thing occupying floor space in my garage, and I just wanted it to work whenever I wanted to use it. So on the front panel here, it has a water inlet and outlet, and then some storage for some basic nozzles, on-off switch. They call this like the pump access cover, but if you have a remote control version, there would be some electronics here, and you can also get a soap dispensing version where the soap injector would be here, and there'd be a line coming over to this, and then 2 lines coming out into different soap products or chemicals or whatever you've got. You can see I've got this installed in a drip tray, and there's a reason for that. So generally this one's got an auto start stop feature on it, so it shouldn't divert, but the pump has a bypass here. There's just a little hose barb, and it'll dump water out the bottom of it. So I'm going to make a little tube that comes down and out the bottom, and then I'll have a tray, just like my tankless hot water heater here, and run the drain to a safe location. And that the tankless here is another reason. So this machine is capable of 140 degree water, 180 degree water inlet temperature, which is quite high, right? So I can run this at 140. If it was not a residential device, you could put a card in it, and I think it'll go up to 180. And it's got the gallons per minute. It's 200,000 BTU. So it's going to be my water source, so I can get my hot water from underneath of it and just run a hose to the pump when I need it. So looking inside, everything is quite well built. The only comment I would say is that maybe Karcher could have used some better hoses The push-on hose here, they're starting to kink where they did the 180-degree turns. They didn't really give themselves quite enough material. I think another 6 inches would have helped them a bit, or even like the angle that they've put the fittings, they could have improved the bending radius on it. So being an auto start stop, it has the pressure switch here on the unloader. You may or may not need to go in here and adjust the unloader as well. Looking at the specs, so you can see there's a variety of options. You can go up to 7.5 horse. I kind of wish I had that one, but I bought this used, so you get what you find. So I went for this model is more gallons, less pressure. The 7.5 is less gallons, more pressure. So there's options. I'm just using this around the house where I live. A lot of greens, biofoul grows on the side of the house, so I need to bleach the house and clean it off. You can see the 180. This product seems like it kind of lives in the world with the Landa pressure washers. So you can see this Landa is pretty much the same thing. If you were to look inside of it, it's pretty much, like I said, the same thing. On the inside, I don't know the difference between the Landa and the Karcher pressure washer product lines, but that's what it is. So the belt, when you need them, they're an AX42. It comes with gates. Like everything in here is high end. There's nothing cheap about this thing. They've used a ball door motor. That thing is quite expensive if you fry it, so you don't want to do that. It's got all the motor protection in it you need. It appears that they have a wiring outlet out the bottom if you were to mount this thing butt against the wall, because you kind of need to be able to access both sides. So if you want to put it against the wall, you need to put the rear end up against the wall. I might put a hole in the front and have the power cable come out the front. I'm unsure yet, because I don't really like the thing being an octopus, like two on the back, or two on the front and one on the back. Like I wish they kind of everything exited at the same place. There's an electrical box. We're going to take a look at that quickly. They got like a 6,000 PSI line on the inside with bulkhead fittings going out. You can see the storage for the tips there. There's a hole here for an hour meter. So I've ordered an hour meter for this. So the story is that I bought this used off of a guy. He had some kind of a business where he was making some kind of pressure washing product. He wouldn't tell me what it was, but this was one of the test stands that he had, and it didn't put out what he needed. So he ended up going out and buying a bigger 3-phase unit after the fact. So this thing has only ran like twice. Like the paint is still on the pulleys. It doesn't have any hours on it. So I got it for between a half and a third of its value, closer to a third. And they don't need to pay tax when you buy used. So that's how I ended up with this. I would be kind of hesitant to buy it from some locations. Like you can kind of tell when you go into a place whether you want to buy their stuff or not. When I went to see this guy's stuff, if I had the money, I would have bought everything. It was all fantastic. The guy is well organized. But anyway, so there's this plate here. There's some warning instructions you can look at there. You can pause if you want to take a peek. You see where it's made or assembled anyway. They tell you not to run any chemicals like through the pump. So you're going to do all of the injection on the high pressure side. So you can turn this thing, so that's why it's on a cart, because like it's 300 pounds. This thing is crazy. It's got a 40 amp contactor. It's got a power transformer to give you 120, not power, but a control transformer, because it's got 240 going in and then it has a 120 control circuit. So you need to step it down to 120. There's a timer in the back It's set to 5 seconds. Not sure what brand that timer is. It's got like a removable relay. Like the thing, it's pretty high end. And they even used Wagos when they built it, so you know that the people that built it knew what they were doing. They're kind of up on what's kind of popular right now. That's the taps marking on the transformer down there, and they're high and low side. So there will be a pocket inside of it with a drawing, which we'll look at in a second. So this was built in 2020. If you want to know when it was made, you can pop it open and look inside the box. And so for the drawing, I'll let you stop and pause and take it all in. You could see I'm going to be adding the hour meter to it. I'm kind of curious how that works, whether it's going to be able to display when the compressor or pressure washer is not pumping. Because like it's only going to have power on it when it's counting, right? It's got a little diagram on how to do it. Pressure switch and the timer are your things that you need, right? So when you take your finger off the trigger, it'll count for 5 seconds and then turn off the motor. You can see the motor is well protected. It does have grease fittings on it that are painted over, so that'll need attention from time to time for both ends of the machine. Then the ball door motor, I don't know if we can get you any good information there or not. Like it's a 6.2 horsepower motor. I looked it up, and it's marketed as a pressure washer motor. That's what it is. If you look around, you'll be able to find it. It gives you some rotation information. I can't really see it from here. It does say that it'll run on 208, so if you got 3-phase and it's not 240, it's just 208, it'll work. So you don't need to worry about that. It's usable in both styles of electrical settings. I have it winterized right now. It doesn't say what this stuff is. I'm kind of curious if it's some kind of non-toxic antifreeze. It sure looks like antifreeze. And then, because like you're trying to shove antifreeze into the side of a machine out of this bottle, see, it doesn't, you don't want to dump it out everywhere, right? So it has a regular like seal in there, but it's got a cross cut into it, and that works as like a bit of a flow restrictor, so when you turn it sideways it doesn't all just pour out. So that's pretty neat. So I'm going to keep that for the future. After it runs out, I'll figure out what to use and keep winterizing this if I feel I need to. Like I had this in the back of my truck. I had to travel 3 hours each way to get it, but it was worth the savings to do that. Otherwise, it came with a 50-foot hose, and I'm starting to get organized to set it up at my house. So when I got it, it had like a quick coupler on both ends of the hose, and that's a bit of a faux pas. You can't do that, because then how do you extend your hose? So I took the quick connects off, and I ordered some stainless. So I got the plug or the male here, and I'm going to work my way out in that direction. So when we get to the gun, it's going to be a female, so it'd be a quick connect like such, and then I'm going to carry on and have another female like that, but just a 1/4 inch, so they can remove this the lance and be able to put the nozzles directly onto this, or if I want, I can use the lance and extend it out. So that's sort of my plan with that. I got this little organizer on Amazon, so it'll let you conceivably that was supposed to fit. Actually no, these are going to fit 1/4 inch quick connects, so you can hang your 1/4 inch nozzles and extensions off of 3, and then you can put 3 1/4 inch plugs in here, and then there's a male and a female, so you can put your foam cannon vertical off of this, and then you can put all your soap nozzles in here, or whatever your nozzles you are. So that thing was pretty inexpensive, and it was fairly well made. Some of them were really poorly made and really wavy, but this thing seems like whoever was running the brake knew what they were doing and made it look nice. So I decided to go with that. This came with it, so these aren't going to be for water. It's just going to be mounted like such, so you can mount your foam cannon on here, and you could mount your trigger on there if you wanted. I think that's about it. We'll look at the back side of it. So like I said, like if you're going to mount this against a wall, you can't really have the electrical coming out the back. So I'm going to probably come out the front. If you went out the bottom, you'd have to be careful to like put a drip loop in your electrical cord so it doesn't bring all the water right into your receptacle. It does come with a GFI on it. Like best I can tell, they took a regular cord end, they chopped 2 feet off of it, and they put this in line, and then you can see there's like a opening on each side so that you can wire it up. So I thought that was pretty cool that they were able to do that. So it's nothing special. You don't need to get a special breaker or special receptacle. That one there, there's a compromise there. I would have preferred that I could have this mounted all the way up so the wiring wasn't as exposed for that 12 inches. That faucet doesn't go anywhere. It is cut off, so there's no real concern of water getting in here. And then lastly, so I got to come up with a plan for a hose, whether I want to get a portable hose reel or a permanently mounted hose reel. And the other option would be just to loop up the hose on the wall here somewhere. I'm unsure what I want to do with that. But I didn't want to go with a wireless system because I'm about 150 feet from the water. And if I ever wanted to bring my hose down to the water to pressure wash a dock or a boat or something, I didn't want to be fooling around with a wireless remote. So that's why I decided to go with one that had a pressure sensor in it. It seemed like the way for me. But if you want, like, you could get a direct drive with like a big motor like this, and then a direct drive compressor coupled right onto the end of it, and you could go with a 7.5 horsepower. You could get more like 4.2 gallons at 3,500 psi. So the only thing I'm really losing with this is my ability to really clean concrete, which is an ability I don't necessarily need. But for a surface cleaner to really dig in to a concrete, you need to have like over 3,000 psi, and I'm at 2. So that's really my limit. And I don't, like, the unloader is what it is set to one thing. I don't know enough about these things to know if I could adjust the unloader. I feel like not, because I looked at the parts diagram, and if you wanted to go with the 7.5 horsepower motor, it has a different pulleys on it than what this one has. So it's running at a different RPM, and I couldn't find the pump curve for this pump. Like normally when you buy a pump, it has ratings at different RPMs, right? Different RPMs give you different pressures and flows. And I've not been able to find it. I know Karcher doesn't make this thing. It's a rebranding of another one, but I'm not in the industry. I couldn't tell you what it is. I do know that Some of the parts on here were made by Legacy, like the fittings. The hose, I think, was a Legacy hose. And you can see it's a ball door motor with whatever brand this pump is. And then, so to change the oil, there's a dipstick here. Well, not for changing, but for checking height. There's a dipstick. And then on the back, there's a window. And then I assume that that's a drain plug there. It would be better to, if you really are going to use this thing a lot, would be probably to put a drain valve in there. Otherwise, like, you don't want to fill this cabinet with oil every time you change the oil, because like this is sitting on a plate. There's no drain plug under it, so it's going to be coming out the back, as best I can tell. And they give you some specs on the oil there, what you want to use. So 20-40 weight, non-foaming. I think the non-foaming is quite important for sure. Looks like someone's calling for hot water inside the house. I don't know, for belt alignment you'd have to do something with that. But it's got like a channel here, here, and here. So I think that you'd have to try kind of hard to screw up the alignment very much. And then you got the tensioner over here. And it's got these, not nut certs, but like cage nuts like you would see on a electronics rack here. So yeah, I don't know, we've got a Vevor water catch tray. And this thing, like I said, it's fairly heavy, so you want to put it somewhere safe and doesn't crush anybody. And I couldn't tell you how loud it is. I have not run it. You can see that it's a fairly new purchase for myself. I'm just kind of getting it set up in a good spot for me. But I hadn't seen anything written about these, so I thought we would just take a look at it. So you can see there's the unloader is pushing back into that T, I am guessing, which is back into the inlet of the pump. But because this one turns on and off, it shouldn't heat the water too much. Like, you'll know if you're using a non-start-stop model, after a few minutes of working, they start to dribble water, and that's normal because they need to cool off the water before it goes into the pump. It can't have too hot water recirculating into it. So that's the deal there. Well-built piece of equipment. I've seen these for sale on eBay, missing the control box entirely. I don't know how you would go about getting it back into service. When I put the hour meter on, if I can't find a spare conductor in one of these bundles, I'll have to get another device here so I can make a watertight entry into the box. And that's a 3-phase contactor, so they're actually opening, well, no, it's not a neutral, but it's they're opening the both legs to the motor. They've got the white marked as black rather than using red and black wire, which is acceptable. So I think that's all I'm going to say. You can see the type of connector. And one last thing, don't try to put that receptacle in a single gang box. It would be crazy to try and do that and get the wires terminated in there. I don't think you want to do that. So try to find a 4-inch box with the hole. I'll put a link in the description as to where you might want to get that box cover. So in this one, the The receptacle is mounted on the cover with these 4 screws. So when you take these 2 screws out, when you pull it out, this is coming with the cover. It's not mounted to the box. And that gives you good access to the wiring. That's a great way to wire that up. So as you can see, I got lots of people watching this thing. It's well protected. So thanks for watching.